Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Fran. This channel is going to be dedicated to therapy video journaling. I had a conversation with my therapist this week, and she was just like, Francis, you have to document, you have to journal so that you'll have something to go back to on those days where you may not be feeling the best. And for me, I did try the journaling when I first started in January, but sometimes things come at you so quick you don't have time to reach for paper and pen. So I asked her if I could just start video journaling. So this is going to be my video journal, and I'm just going to welcome you in once I, feel comfortable. Not sure when I'm going to post this, but we'll see. I may just go ahead and just bite the bullet and post. Let's just begin at when I started therapy and the reason why I started therapy. So in 2024, I was seeing someone. We had decided I think in January of 2024, that we were going to try this dating thing. We were going to try to have a relationship. Well, that March, he got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And that was pretty intense. It was pretty, all the feels that come with dealing with that type of illness. Fast forward, he fought, he thrived. All the hills and valleys that come with fighting, he did that. But in January 19th, 2025, he got his healing on the other side. And that was very traumatizing for me. That was the first time I've ever experienced that type of loss in my life. So I was spiraling quickly, not being able to get a grasp of my own emotions. As people say, walking through the fog, anything made me cry. So soon after his passing, I knew I needed help. So I reached out and started therapy. And that was the best decision that I've ever made. So here we are, almost a year later. But it has not been without its challenges. Just losing him alone, I was already dealing with a lot. I'm not going to say newly divorced, but I had, gotten divorced a few years prior. My mom had gotten sick, I had to make decisions for her, putting her into a resident facility. And then, watching someone that you love, someone who showed you a different way of love, someone who helped you find yourself again. Will was all of that to me. And to this day, I still miss him. But therapy gave me the tools that I needed and that I still use today, that I share with other people. How I've gotten through. Of course, God, my friends, my family, my coworkers have also been a good source for me as far as my support group. But therapy, talking it out to someone who isn't biased, someone who really doesn't know you from a can of paint, that is not just going to tell you what you need to hear or what you want to hear. My mistake, what you want to hear, but what you need to hear at that moment. I have learned how to give myself grace. I have learned how to give myself the same amount of grace that I give to other people, if not so more. I've learned how to love me in spite of me. I've learned how to set those boundaries. I've learned how to when some of that wall that I have built up needs to come down. I've learned how to be gentle with myself. That's one thing that sticks with me with my therapist, and how she always says at the end of our sessions, Frances, remember to be gentle with yourself. She reminds me, remember to eat, remember to feed your brain, remember to rest as much as you can, remember to drink that water. So when I'm having those days where I'm not doing those things, I hear her. So yeah, just learning the tools. But I just want to share with you just that little bit, and also how the year started was rough, the middle, but I want to share with you how the year is ending, and how, in spite of all, God still had a plan for me, and is still with me, even when I am hard on myself about my faith walk. He is still with me. He is still working on my behalf. So in June, I found out that I needed to, my landlord, who is also my friend, life situation changed. So she decided that she needed to start the process of selling the home that I was in. That was great. So at that point, I decided, did I want to go back into another rental, or did I want to try my hands to buy? Like a lot of people in this world, in America, you know, my credit has taken a hit, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm a single woman, you know, can I make this happen? Of course I can, because I've seen God do it for other people, right? So I started the process working with a great a great realtor, and she brought forth the lender. That whole process in the beginning, now my background is, I do have, as far as career, I do have banking, and I do have mortgage under my belt. So I know the back end of the process. I wasn't very familiar with the front end of the process, as far as, you know, finding the home, working with the lender, and things of that nature, right? I know the loan process as far as the funding and the closing. I have that experience as far as my career. So this process was new for me, and the beginning of it was very stressful, on top of still dealing with grief, right? Because, you know, grief doesn't go away. It just, you know, it pops out whenever it wants to, basically. If you know, you know. Long story short, I worked months with this team, including the lender, found a home. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was settling, because I was tired of the process. So I was settling. I know for a fact, going against what God had told me, what he wanted for me. So that deal fell through, and I decided at that time that I was going to go with another lender, because of some things that had happened. So they still stayed with the same realtor. So we decided to bring in someone else, a wonderful team, a very wonderful team, walked me through the process, and all of that. So let me go back. Right before, so 2024, I was turning 49 that November. At that time, Will and I decided that we were going to plan a trip. This trip was going to be to celebrate my 50th in 2025, and his celebration of life, as far as beating cancer on this side. So we decided we were going to take this trip, and we were going to open it up to whoever wanted to come, whoever wanted to go. So at that time, November 2024, I started the process. Got a travel agent, told all the friends and family, this is what I've decided to do. I was going to do for my 50th, and also incorporate beating cancer's butt, right? Well, he passed January 2025, and I decided that I was still going to take this trip in November, like we planned, right? So of course, when you're planning trips, you know, people fall off, this, that, and the third. So it wound up being about 4 of us, me included, which was great. It was very intimate. St. Lucia had a ball, this, that, and the third. Well, this year, In that, you know, of course, keep in mind, I'm working with the lender. I'm trying to find a place. You know, we're going through the process of looking at homes again. You know, I found one. I want to say September. It might have been in September. I decided, like, found one. It was all I wanted, minus a couple of things, but it was what God told me that He had in store for me. So I was more quiet during this process, right? I was just allowing God to move, not being stressed out. I had peace, you know, at this point. You know, I'm finally being able to sleep most nights. Insomnia is not getting the best of me and all of that. So, go on the trip, you know. I told my girlfriend, who has become like a sister to me, you know, it could be any moment, it could be any day. I'm just waiting on a couple of things to come through as far as final disclosures and clear to closes, right? So we're in St. Lucia. I'm having the time of my life. I'm being, you know, the service that I received there was top notch. Had the Diamond Club, the Butler service, all of that. Having a good time. Well, we were over there for, I think it was like 5 days, 4 nights or something like that. The day before we were scheduled to come back into the States, we take this excursion. It's a a boat ride from, you know, the top of the island to the bottom and back to the top, or vice versa, or however it was. And we're on this boat ride on our way back to the top where we're staying, or wherever we're staying. My sense of direction is not the best, but anyway, I'm checking, you know, I'm tired, it's hot, whatever. I'm checking my phone, looking at emails, and I see an email, final closing disclosure. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing the dates, and I'm just like, I'm showing my girlfriend, I'm just like, look what I just got. And I said, it's dated for the 17th of November. We're due to get back to where we live on the 13th. And we're counting, you know, we're doing the counting on the fingers, trying to figure out, okay, you only got a few days. So she says immediately she saw my brain leave St. Lucia and return back to reality of all the things that I had to do in preparation of the closing. Well, I agree with her, but I also know there's one more email that I'm waiting for, and that is the clear to close, the time, the date, the amount to bring to the closing. And even with that, the amount that I was supposed to be bringing kept, every time I would get some communication, it was going down. The payment, every time I would get some type of communication, my monthly payment was going down. So I was just like, God, what are you doing? So that night, you know, we celebrate my birthday at a restaurant on the resort, and I pretty much am drained that day. We didn't even have a last night of turn up, because I left the restaurant. I was like, felt myself crashing. I was ready to lay down, and I walked myself back to my room, and I went to bed. Next day, you know, we're preparing to leave, having the last moments on the island. I had some moments that I was able to share with Will while I was on the island. I took his necklace with his ashes with me. So we're packing. I'm checking my email, because I'm like, okay, if I got the closing disclosure yesterday, I should be getting that clear to close, because that is the part of the process I am familiar with, because that's what I used to process for 2 separate companies. Nothing. I'm going through the process. I'm packing. I go down to my girlfriend's room, you know, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go to the lobby and people watch. You know, take my last glass of wine with me. I text my butler. I said, hey, I had 2 butlers, and I said, hey, please meet me in the lobby, because I want to give you my token of appreciation in your hand, see your face, you know, say our, you know, salutations or whatever, our goodbyes, and give him the other guy's part too. I just wanted to be more personable with it. So he comes, great. I had great service at this resort, and he was still going over and beyond, even though I was getting ready to get my bracelet cut off. He even went back to my room. He made a comment. He said, "Oh, why did you leave your wine in the room?" And I was like, I have a glass. And he was like, no, I want you to have all of your wine. He walks back to my room, gets the bottle, brings the bottle back to me, and proceeds to fill my glass up. I mean, it was just a great experience. So, we had a little bit of a hiccup with two of the other people that was with us with their departure transportation. But even with that, God was in it. It worked out. We prayed and we knew it was going to be fine. And everybody was able to board and, relax and whatever. While we were waiting to depart St. Lucia to come back to the States, I'm checking my email. I'm being that quiet one, having our last little drink before we leave. There's nothing. We board our plane at 4 p.m. their time. And at that point, once we board, I'm already taking off, putting on airplane mode, trying to connect to the Wi-Fi on the plane, this, that, and the third, not even thinking to go back before the plane departs to check the email. Board at 4. We arrived at our first spot because we decided where we came back to the States. We arrived in Atlanta, and we decided to stay the night in Atlanta. So as soon as we touched down in Atlanta at 9, just say 9:15, I take my phone off airplane mode, immediately go to my email. And lo and behold, there's an email from my loan processor. I think the loan processors, no, maybe the lender sent it. I can't remember. But anyway, they're both of their names are on it. And it says, "Congratulations, clear to close." And I look at my girlfriend. I'm just like, ugh. I'm like the Joker. My grin is probably from here all the way to the top of my head. And I was like, oh my God, I am literally closing got to the, no, we got to Atlanta on the 12th, got back to our home state on the 13th, my apologies. And I was just like, just ecstatic. And I just knew I had all this work lined up for me. But luckily, I decided to take an extended vacation from work. So I took a little over 2 weeks off. So I was like, something's going to happen. I'm going to need this time. I just felt it. I just felt like I was going to need this extra time. And I needed the extra time because when Will passed, I think I only took a week off, and that was bereavement. And that's a whole nother story. I mean, I'm grieving and I'm having to conduct training classes. I mean, it was, when I tell you God is a keeper, he is a keeper. But mind you, get the clear to close, it's all smiles and everything. And I'm talking to Tia and we're going, and she's just as happy for me. I mean, I'm thinking okay, close on the 17th. I need to get some moving estimates. I mean, it was just it was writing a list, chopping it down as much as you can. Of course, and mind you, again, the payment's lower. Every time the payment's lower, the down payment's lower. To God be the glory. So yeah, I mean, I closed on the 17th. It was a smooth closing. I'm a homeowner and it feels great. I closed on the 17th, moved a few days later, celebrated my 50th birthday a few days later after that. So happy birthday, Merry Christmas, happy Valentine's Day, happy Mother's Day to me, and to God be the glory. And I say all of that to say therapy has helped me. Therapy has given me the tools to sit in grief sometimes and allowing all of those emotions to come up, but never giving up, still putting one foot before the other, being okay to let others know that you're not okay. I mean, it's just so much. And, and I think that's why she was like, Frances, you have to document it. Because even with that, me saying all of that, there's so many pieces that sometimes pop in my head that I probably should write down, as far as what I'm doing, how I've made it through, what I'm using to have a better day. What happens on those bad days when you can't get out of bed and you're literally sliding out the bed, trotting to the bathroom so you can get yourself moving to get your job done, because everybody wants to get paid. The bills have to get paid. You can't afford to sit out and just be like, you know what? I'm grieving, and I'm going to always be missing him, right? I'm going to always be, like I tell people, my DNA, I feel like my DNA has changed because grief now resides. But I'm not allowing grief to take hold, to, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to put it into words, but it's just like I'm trying to control what I can control. And when grief does come up, I find something to remind me of him. If it's a conversation, if it's one of his, his funny sayings, done messed up the church's money. Ain't nothing groovy but a 10-cent movie. Just something. I mean, he gave the best advice, and sometimes I replay those conversations in my head, and it does help me. So I say that to say, whatever works for you, it's okay, because there's no handbook. I don't care how many grief books we read. There's no handbook, because we all deal with it differently. We all gonna handle it differently. Some days I can laugh. Some days I'm gonna cry. Some days the thoughts of him make me just want to scream. And then those other days, it just puts a smile on my face and in my heart, because I know how special of a person he is and was, and his memory still lives on. And I'm very thankful for that. So I'm just going to keep on journaling. I'm going to keep on trying to, I am going to keep working on me, and I'm loving the process. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's cute. But I'm going to keep on. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. So, some of my videos may not be about grief. It just may be me talking, okay? Just chit-chatting. And if you're here for it, subscribe and leave me a comment, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.